So think about bouncing back from surgery, maybe recovering from an injury or, managing a long-term illness.
Hmm.
More and more, that whole journey seems to be happening at home now.
It really does.
So what's the real story behind this shift? I mean, how big is this market really, and what's driving it all? Let's dive in.
Well, this move towards at-home recovery, it's created a really substantial global market. Yeah. We've been digging into a recent report on home rehabilitation products and services,
Okay.
and the numbers, and the trends underneath them,
Yeah.
they're genuinely revealing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and consider this. In 2025, the global market for home rehab is estimated at a massive USD 124.78 billion.
Wow.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that's bigger than the GDP of quite a few countries.
Right.
And it's not just sitting there, it's growing.
Exactly. The report projects a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR,
Right.
of 6.2% between 2025 and 2033.
Okay, 6.2%.
Yeah. So that means the market's expected to reach something like USD 201.90 billion by 2033.
200 billion.
It's remarkable. That kind of growth, it really underscores just how important home-based rehab solutions are becoming.
Right. And just for context here, this deep dive, it's pulling insights from a market research report, right? It's packed with data, trends, expert analysis.
Mhm.
The baseline for all these numbers is 2024, and the forecasts run through 2033. And importantly, this data was updated March 2025.
That's correct. Very current.
So it's fresh info. Our goal here is really to get beyond just the raw numbers and sort of understand the state of this market now, where it's heading,
Yeah.
the key forces pushing it, and, where in the world we're seeing the most action.
I think if we think about why this matters to you, the listener, it's really about understanding a pretty big evolution in how healthcare is being approached.
Definitely.
And that increasing focus on patient-centered care, in familiar surroundings.
Right. Okay, so let's look at where this huge market is most concentrated right now. North America seems to be leading the pack.
That's correct. For 2025, North America is estimated to hold, get this, over 40% of the global market share.
40%.
Yeah, it translates to a market size of about USD 46.17 billion.
Okay.
And the United States makes up a really big chunk of that USD 36.43 billion market in 2025, with a projected growth rate of 4.8%. And remember, this report, it pulls together data from lots of places, sales figures, expert opinions, giving us a pretty comprehensive view, though it's still a projection, of course.
Sure, sure. So the U.S. is a major driver. What about its neighbors, Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, they're also significant contributors. Canada's projected to have a market size of USD 5.54 billion in 2025, growing at 5.8%.
Okay.
And Mexico is around USD 4.2 billion with a 5.5% CAGR. So, yeah, across North America, we're seeing a pretty robust and expanding market for these home solutions.
Okay, so North America is the current leader. Now let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, they're also a big player here, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Europe holds a market share over 30%.
30%, okay.
Estimated size, USD 36.19 billion in 2025, and projected growth around 5.0% CAGR.
Similar growth to North America then.
Pretty close, yeah. And key countries like the UK, that's about USD 6.08 billion market, 5.8% growth.
Right.
And Germany, even bigger, USD 7.16 billion with a 5.2% CAGR. They're, significant forces within that European market.
So strong presence in North America, strong presence in Europe. But I remember reading something about particularly fast expansion happening somewhere else.
You're right on track there. Asia Pacific, or APAC, currently it accounts for around 23% of the global market share.
Okay, about a quarter.
Roughly USD 29.95 billion in 2025. But here's where it gets really interesting, especially for future trends.
Yeah.
The projected CAGR for APAC is a pretty remarkable 9.0%.
Wow, 9%. That's way higher than North America or Europe.
It is. It's the highest growth rate we see across any region globally.
So what's behind that? What factors are making such a big difference compared to the sort of more established markets? And which countries in APAC are really, pushing that growth?
Well, India and China are definitely driving a lot of this rapid expansion. India is projected to grow at an impressive 10.9% CAGR.
Nearly 11%.
Yeah, and China's looking at 8.5%. We're also seeing strong growth in places like Japan, 7.5% CAGR, and Singapore at 9.3%.
Interesting.
This dynamic growth in APAC, it likely reflects, a mix of things. Increasing access to healthcare is one.
Makes sense.
Rising disposable income so people can invest more in health and well-being. and maybe a faster adoption of some of the newer technologies in healthcare delivery.
It really sounds like a reshaping of the global landscape is underway. What about South America, the Middle East, and Africa? How do they fit in?
Right, well, their current market shares are smaller. South America is over 5%, the Middle East around 2%, Africa maybe 1% in 2025.
Okay.
But, and this is important, they are all showing consistent growth. South America has a projected CAGR of 6.5%. The Middle East is at 6.7%, and Africa at 5.9%. So while they aren't as large as North America or Europe now, these regions represent, significant future potential as their healthcare infrastructure develops and access gets better.
Okay, so we've got a clear picture now of the size and the growth across different regions. What are the sort of fundamental forces, the big drivers behind this global boom in home rehab?
There's several key factors, really. A primary one is just the increasing aging population worldwide.
Right.
As people live longer and birth rates maybe stabilize and drop in many places, you naturally see a greater need for rehab services and products, things that let older adults keep their independence.
And stay at home longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Uh,
makes intuitive sense.
Yeah.
An older population often means more conditions needing rehab. What else is fueling this?
Another really important factor is the rising cost of healthcare, especially hospital-based rehab.
Oh, okay.
Home-based options, they often turn out to be more cost-effective, both for patients and for healthcare systems trying to, manage their budgets.
So that economic incentive is pretty powerful.
It really is. It's a strong driver pushing things towards the home.
So it's a combination of the growing need, demographic need, and the financial benefits of doing it at home.
Precisely. And we also have to factor in the growing prevalence of chronic diseases globally.
Mm-hmm.
Conditions like diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, they often need long-term management and rehab.
Right, ongoing stuff.
Exactly. And home-based solutions offer a more sustainable and, frankly, more comfortable way for people to handle these ongoing needs.
Okay, those are clearly some pretty significant drivers. Now, within this expanding market, are there specific areas seeing particularly fast growth? Any segments really standing out?
Yes, definitely. Within the services category, physical therapy is flagged as the fastest growing segment,
Physical therapy, okay.
which indicates, a strong and growing demand for movement-focused therapies, but delivered right in your home.
That seems logical. PT is often so central to recovery from all sorts of things. What about if we look at the whole market products and services together?
Interestingly, the report points out that the services segment overall is growing fastest.
The whole services side?
Yeah. And this growth seems to be fueled by a couple of things. One is just greater public awareness about the benefits of different therapies, not just PT, but also like occupational therapy, speech therapy,
Okay.
combined with the really significant rise of telerehabilitation.
Telerehabilitation, we touched on tech earlier, so that's playing a crucial role in making services more accessible.
Exactly. It's essentially getting therapy remotely, maybe through video calls or special apps. It breaks down geographical barriers,
Mm.
gives patients more flexibility,
Right.
and that's really propelling the growth of that whole services segment.
So how are these products and services actually getting to the people who need them? What are the main distribution channels?
Well, right now, online stores hold the largest share of the market for distribution.
No big surprise there, I guess.
No, it mirrors what we see everywhere, right?
Yeah.
E-commerce is huge. It's convenient. You can compare prices, get detailed product info.
Sure.
So that convenience, pricing, and information availability really drive the online channel's dominance.
That fits with how most of us shop now. But are there other important ways these products are sold?
Yes, specialty stores are also seeing notable growth.
Ah, like dedicated medical supply or mobility stores.
Exactly. These physical places offer the advantage of personalized advice, a curated selection of equipment. Often you can try things out, get things customized.
I see.
So for people with really specific or complex needs, that expert advice you find in a specialized shop is invaluable.
So online gives you the broad access, maybe better prices, while specialty stores offer that tailored solution and expert help. Seems like both are pretty crucial.
Definitely part of the landscape.
We mentioned technology with telerehabilitation. How else is tech being integrated into home rehab? It feels like a big theme.
Oh, it's a substantial trend. The report really emphasizes it. We're seeing much more use of, say, wearable fitness trackers.
Like Fitbits and smartwatches.
Yeah, things like that to monitor patient progress, check if they're sticking to their rehab plans, and telemedicine platforms, as you said, for remote consults and therapy.
Right.
This tech integration, it's really boosting patient engagement. It lets healthcare pros monitor people more effectively from afar,
Uh-huh.
and ultimately, it fosters greater independence for people going through rehab. better outcomes, hopefully.
It definitely sounds like tech is a key enabler for this whole market's growth and maybe effectiveness. Are there any hurdles, challenges that could slow things down? Any restraints the report mentions?
Yes, there is a significant one highlighted.
Yep.
It's the lack of education and awareness,
Ah, what?
particularly in underserved communities or regions. Many people just might not know that these home rehab products or services are even available or understand the potential benefits.
Right.
And that, understandably, can limit how much the market grows in those areas.
That's a really important point. If people don't know about the solutions, they can't use them.
Yeah.
What kind of things might help address that lack of awareness?
Well, the report suggests a need for more, widespread awareness campaigns, educational initiatives aimed at both potential patients and healthcare providers,
Hmm.
just to better inform everyone about the options and the advantages of doing rehab at home.
Okay. Now, this sounds like a really dynamic, evolving market. Are there lots of companies playing in this space?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a competitive market. You've got a mix of big global players and smaller regional companies all offering different products and services.
Any examples?
Yeah, the report mentions companies like Ergoline GmbH. They're known for rehab equipment. Performance Health, they offer a huge range of therapy and wellness products.
Okay.
And Medline Industries, Inc., which is a major supplier of all sorts of healthcare products, just to give you a few examples of key participants.
That helps paint a picture.
Hmm.
Are there any interesting recent developments, things happening within the sector that the report points out?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is Medium Healthcare Technologies, Inc. They're apparently expanding into medical care by acquiring rehab centers.
Oh, interesting. So sort of integrating services.
Seems like a move towards a more integrated care model.
Yeah.
And another one, Green Pioneer Mobility India launched these non-stop retail stores focused specifically on mobility solutions.
In India, right, where we saw that huge growth potential.
Exactly. So that suggests a growing focus on specialized retail channels within those key high-growth markets.
So we're seeing maybe some consolidation, but also more specialization happening. Okay, to kind of bring it all together then, where is this home rehab market strongest right now, and where should we expect the fastest growth going forward?
Right. So as we discussed, North America currently holds the biggest slice of the pie, largest market share.
Okay.
And that's largely down to, a well-established healthcare system, a strong focus on innovation in this area. However,
However, here comes the shift.
precisely, Asia Pacific is projected to have the fastest CAGR over the forecast period, by far.
That 9% number again.
Exactly. And that rapid growth is really being driven by that huge growing population, increasing healthcare awareness and access, plus big investments in healthcare infrastructure,
Yeah.
especially in places like China and India.
Right.
So, yeah, while North America dominates today, Asia Pacific is definitely the region with the most dynamic growth potential looking ahead.
Okay, let's try and recap the key takeaways then. We've learned that this global home rehab market is, well, huge and growing fast. It's fueled by big trends like aging populations, rising healthcare costs, more chronic diseases, physical therapy, and the whole services side are growing particularly quickly.
Right.
Online stores are the main way people buy things, but specialty stores are important too. Technology is playing a massive role.
Crucial.
Though making sure people know about these options is still a bit of a hurdle. North America leads now, but Asia Pacific is where the really explosive growth is expected. That feels like a pretty comprehensive picture.
It does. It really highlights a significant trend, doesn't it? Bringing healthcare recovery right into people's homes.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it does leave you with some interesting thoughts, doesn't it? Like, with all these advances in personalized home rehab tech,
Yeah.
how might that fundamentally reshape healthcare delivery down the line? And what sort of new business models could pop up in this expanding market to meet those changing needs? Definitely gives you something to mull over.
Indeed. It raises some really important considerations about the future of healthcare and, the increasing potential for all of us to be more active participants in our own recovery and well-being.
Well, you should now have a really solid understanding of this global home rehabilitation market, where it is now, what's driving it, and where it's headed. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring those fascinating trends around you.